Hello, welcome back to the channel, and yes, you did read the title right, and no, this is not clickbait. Welcome to the first episode of me watching every single movie on the Disturbing Movie Iceberg. For this video, I'm basically just, as it implies, I'm going through it and watching every single one and giving them a review, because the point of this series isn't to disgust me and to see some nasty stuff. It's to try and spread some light on movies which are considered disgusting and just pieces of disgusting film, you know? I want to actually give them a chance and see if I can see anything in there, whether or not it is, you know, a movie that someone has created, or if it's just something disgusting for the sake of being disgusting. But anyway, a few announcements before we actually start the video. Twitter, link in bio, and I have a Discord now, so if you want to come and chat to other people about this channel or me, because I'm on most of the time, join it, link in the description. Also, when we get to the last few tiers, some of them are hard to find, so if anyone wants to make that easy for me, my Reddit is in the description, or just comment and get in touch with me basically. But without further ado, the long awaited, for me and hopefully for you as well, first episode, so let's get into it. Okay, the first one is Friday the 13th, and I decided to watch the remake because, you know, it's just everyone knows about the original, and I hadn't seen the remake, so I decided to watch it. It wasn't bad, to be honest. I've given it a 5 out of 10. It had a decent story, okay characters, and the first part was very, very cool. The best part, definitely the opening part, because it, like, shows these, what would you call it? Like, basically stereotypical horror movie characters, and you think, oh god, another one of these, and then, like, they all die, and it's actually has some pretty grounded characters, to be honest. But wasn't anything special, so I've just given it a 5 out of 10. Wasn't a bad remake. It could have been a standalone film, you know, not associated with Friday the 13th, and it would still have the same rating for me. Next is The Ring, and the one which I decided to go for this is the American one, because that is the one which I had seen most recently. I've given this one 8 out of 10 because this is honestly a very good movie, a good story, and it was actually scary and disturbing at some parts without, like, you know, having to use jump scares, you know, just like here and there. And the best scene out of everything was definitely coming out of the TV at the end. That bit was very cool, I thought. But yeah, a solid movie, highly recommend. And next we have The Conjuring. This was a complete bag of arse, in my opinion. I've given it a 2 out of 10. There's some, like, okay scares here and there, but most of them are, you know, cheap, cliche. Oh, it's behind you in the mirror. I don't like paranormal ghost movies, to be honest. I think they're all boring and they're all pretty much the same. I mean, it gets an extra point for, like, being based, like, roughly on a true story, but, that's about it. It was too long. I actually turned it off 20 minutes before the end because that's how bored I was. I was just sitting there and I kept checking my phone and I was like, I'm so bored. So yeah, don't recommend this one. The Conjuring is, like, on the list of, like, most scariest movies of all time, so I was, like, going in expecting something, but, like, it's just, like, you know, like, mainstream scary, which is not scary at all. Next we have Child's Play, and I have gone for the original one on this because I've seen the remake and I don't exactly like it, so I decided to revisit the original because I haven't seen it in a few years. Solid movie, 7 out of 10 for this one. It was very good horror, like the animatronics and everything for its time, incredible. I thought it's quite funny in some places. I always like a bit of comedy in horror movies. That's just what I like, basically. And the best moment for me was definitely where the man gets, like, electrocuted. I thought them effects were, like, insane. I forgot, like, how good the practical effects are for this, and it makes me wish that all films are on practical effects instead of shitty CGI nowadays. And next we have my favorite horror movie of all time, I think. And when I say horror movie, I mean, like, you know, like baseline horror movie, as in, like, the well-known ones. And this is Scream. Oh my god, I love this movie so much. 10 out of 10. I don't know why. It has, like, such a good charm to it, in my opinion. It's so funny and it's self-aware to, like, not where it's stupid. Very funny, again. Oh, I don't know why, but it's just so good. I hadn't seen it in ages, and I watched it. I remember I watched it about 4 or 5 years ago, and I thought it wasn't anything special because it was one of the first horror movies that I'd watched. But then when you actually like watch a lot of horror movies and then rewatch Scream, you get all like the little references and things. And the fact that it's made by Wes Craven, who made Hills Have Eyes and Nightmare on Elm Street, and he has like little references to other films, is just very good, very, very, very good. And the best moment, in my opinion, was like the rules of a horror movie. It's just like so iconic, that scene, and it shows how self-aware it is while still being serious, because it's like the characters aren't dumb in because they kick around the killer and things. So it's like they're not stupid, which I really like about it. And the twist ending, if you haven't seen it, it's just so good. And that whole ending scene, I just love so much. But yeah, I could go on about this film all day. If you don't like it, fair enough. But I love this movie. And next we have Insidious, and this was very, very good in my opinion. 9 out of 10. And I know I said I don't really like the whole ghost thing, but this brought a whole new like perspective to it because obviously it's not the house that's haunted. It's just so good. It's not boring either. It's just like things actually lead places and things happen, and it's not like basic haunted house tropes. I mean, there were a few, but they're like, of course you have to, because that's like the basic plot. It's a very good twist on like dumb, stupid, The Conjuring. And the best bit, in my opinion, is like the last 40 minutes, like the astral projection and everything. That was so cool. Like the scene where the demon's like sharpening his nails, that got me so hyped. I thought they were about to have like an anime fight or something. And of course, the ending is just mwah. Very good, very good. And whilst I was going through this list, I'm actually planning on watching the other three, because I think there's four now. So yeah, I'm definitely planning on watching the other ones. The same with Scream, because I think I'd seen up to Scream 3, but I don't really remember it. So when I have some free time, I'm definitely watching them. Next, we have The Grudge, and I watched the original one, I think? Yeah, I watched the Japanese one. At least I think I did. I don't know. This was like a few weeks ago now, because it's the first tier. That's another thing. Next video, I'm gonna like record these sort of like voiceovers, like as soon as I've watched the film, so you get like a raw, genuine, just came out of the film reaction, which I think will be a bit better. But yeah, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. The very good scares and visual horror was very good, very good. A little bit confusing, but I like confusing things. It wasn't like confusing to the point where you don't know what's going on. It's like still digestible, just a bit different. And the best scene was right at the beginning where the man falls off the balcony. No, I'm joking. That was quite funny though, in my opinion, the way he fell. The tongue scene. That's what I've put in the script, the tongue scene. So I'm pretty sure that if you've seen it, yeah, you know what I'm on about. Next we have Annabelle, 2 out of 10, bag of arse again. It's The Conjuring, just with a different fucking story. You don't know how much I hate this. I can't. Alright, I'm just gonna skip over it. It's too long as well, too long. I didn't watch all of this one either, I will admit. But yeah, I'm skipping over these before I kill someone. And finally, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, and of course, I watched the remake, because I watched the Friday remake, so I thought, might as well. It was a good remake, I'm not gonna lie. I give it like a 6 or 7, I would say. 6.5. It's better than the Friday one, definitely. It has very good practical effects, which I liked. It didn't really, apart from Freddy's face, I don't know why they used CGI on that, slightly weird, but oh well. The only thing I didn't really like is that Freddy is like serious and also like a nonce in this one, so it's kind of a bit weird because he was like this, just like a random person in the dreams who was like kind of funny and gave one-liners and things, which I liked. The best part was definitely the first kill. I thought that was very very cool, the way that it was done. And also one of the boys, I can't remember their name, they had a Joy Division shirt on, so it gets an extra point. So this one is 7.5 out of 10 now. But that is the first tier done. As I said, it's nothing like, it's just like, mainstream horror movies that like most people have seen. But, there's some really good ones in there, and there's some really bad ones in there. The Conjuring, I don't like it, if you couldn't tell. Okay, and now we're on to tier 2. And also, I just want to say, when it gets to the next episode, I'm probably going to be discussing the plot more. It's just because on these ones, a lot of people have seen them. And I know that a lot of people, including myself, prefer to sort of like hear about it from someone else than actually watch it. So this is like very out of the ordinary for me. Because with a lot of these films, I know them and I know exactly what happens, but I've just never seen them. So yeah, when we get down into like third, fourth tier onwards, I'm going to be discussing the plot more for people that don't exactly want to go out and watch them themselves. Okay, so kicking off tier 2, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This film's amazing, 9 out of 10. This is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I know it's like basic, but it's just so good. It's like with like the basic choices, like oh, this is like everyone's favorite. It's everyone's favorite for a reason. It's because it's so good. And if you haven't seen this, highly recommend it. The sequels are like kind of iffy, I would say. The first remake was okay. The second one was kind of bad. I don't really remember the second one that much, I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, of course, we're talking about the original one here. The set is just incredible. Like the whole house. Whoever made the set, I forgot their name, but they're just like amazing. All the taxidermy and everything, very, very, very good. It just like amazes me because of like how unsettling like the characters are, because like with other horror films and things, like the killers are always like, you know, like stone cold, don't say anything, but in this they're literally like laughing in her face while she's strapped down to a chair, and it's just like really like disturbing. It's something like you wouldn't have seen. I mean, obviously you see it more now, but like for its time it was one of the first films to really explore that. It is funny. This I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be mainly a dark comedy, but they somehow made that instead. So there are some bits which are very, very funny. The second film focuses more on the dark humor, and the second film is quite good. Also because of how it made daylight scary, because most of the film was set in daylight, which is very unusual as well. Anyway, it's just a good movie, so watch it if you haven't watched it. Next, we have The Hills Have Eyes, and I watched the original because I hadn't seen it before, but I've heard that the remake is actually quite good for a remake, and it's put down because of the second one, like the second one, the one after the remake. It's put down because of that one, because apparently that one was bad, but the original remake is good apparently. But anyway, I've given the original one a 7 out of 10. It has a very good atmosphere. It's a bit slow, as in pacing wise, but I thought it was still quite good. It was good effects, and it was at some points like genuinely terrifying. Like I've put in here about the scene when they raid the caravan. That was definitely like the most disturbing scene for me, or the best scene. It's on this list. It's starting off as my favorite scene, and then as it gets down, it's just becoming the most disturbing scene. So just keep that in mind in case I say best in the future. But yeah, that scene was like generally terrifying. The way that they just like strolled up to their caravan and just ripped everything apart. Very good, very good. Next we have Saw, and this is one of my favorites. The original one, 8 out of 10. It's just so good. The first like three Saw films are amazing in my opinion. Like the way they all come together, and then they kind of ran out of ideas when it came to the fourth one and onwards. But they're like my guilty pleasure. You know, like I still at least once a year I watch all 8 of them now. I think there is. Ninth one's coming out soon, which I'm pretty excited for. Definitely gonna go see that when it comes out. But yeah, the twist in the first one was like very good in my opinion. It's like a bit stupid looking back on it now, but at the time it was good. And when I keep saying at the time, I mean when I first watched them, like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, I wasn't in 2004 when it came out. I wasn't old enough to watch it, obviously. And on top of all that, it just had like good practical effects, especially like all the traps and everything. I thought that that was like a really original concept. And the best part, in my opinion, was definitely the ending. You know, where again, I don't really want to spoil this one because it's like well known. So like, go out and watch it. It's not that bad as like the sequels. That's when it turned into like the torture per that one. That's where it gets categorized as that. Next we have House of a Thousand Corpses, and I really liked this film to be honest. I'd seen it before, but I rewatched it. 7 out of 10 for this one. It's funny, and it's also like insane. Like it's crazy. Like the whole like baby, isn't that her name? I don't know why, I just love her so much, like her character. It's just like so over the top, but like really, really weird at the same time. It's like it reminds me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family, but like even worse. It has some good effects to be honest, and I like the clown man. I can't remember his name, but he gave me a good laugh throughout the film. And the best part, in my opinion, was definitely the family's videos. You know, where they have that whole sequence with the camcorder. I just thought that like whole atmosphere was like really cool, and like the whole vibe it was giving off. Next we have Hostel, and I love this movie so much. I've given it a 10 out of 10. Mainly just because of the way it like plays on the mind. I hate how it's so like wrongly associated with like the torture per scene. And it's not even that bad as in like gore wise, but the thing that I love about it is that it doesn't actually show you what's going on. It leaves it to your imagination. So it's just it constantly plays on your mind throughout the film, like what is happening there. And even though the person escapes at the end, it's still gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? It's just really cool. I love that film so much. The favorite part for me is definitely like the whole escape scene. That was like done really well, and also like just the story in general is just like a really good. It's a really solid film, and I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it. And if you think that it's gonna be like a gore fest, you're like dead wrong. It's like I wouldn't say the opposite, but it doesn't show that much. You know what I mean? It shows like a bit, but not enough to like. But yeah, I love this movie so much. I like the second one. Second one's okay. Third one was just a bit of a oh, I'll watch it. It's like with Saw, do you know what I mean? Like you watch them just because the first one was good. That's what it's like with the third one. I watched it just because I liked the others. Next we have Tusk, and I this was one of the ones which I was saying which I knew exactly what happened. I just hadn't got around to watching it, so I knew what was coming. It probably would have been a lot better if you like went into the film blind. So if you don't know anything about this film, go and watch it like right now. I thought it was pretty good. I've given it a 7 out of 10. I think that if they directed it more towards the comedy route, it would have worked a bit better. Johnny Depp was in it, which is very surprising, but quite cool at the same time. And it was just overall just like a good body horror. But as I said, I don't really want to say too much about this because please go and watch it if you don't know like what this film is about. It's like it's not like amazing, but like the whole premise is just something that you would not expect. So yes, please go and watch it. Next we have the Human Centipede, and this was pretty good. You know, the first one is pretty good. I've given it a 7 out of 10. It's like again like Hostel. It's very miscategorized. It's not that bad. Like it doesn't actually show that much gore and things, but of course, but just because of the concept, it's considered like the worst film ever made. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Best scene, definitely like the whole surgery scene. I don't know why, but I'm just like, I love scenes where it just like shows like the making of or something like that. I really dig them, so that was my favorite part for me. But yeah, the trilogy as well. I haven't seen the third one because I don't know why. I just never got around to watching that one, but I know like what happens again, and they all like interlink all three films, which I think is quite cool. But yeah, solid movie. And lastly, for tier two, oh, I have so much to say on this film. Midsummer. Okay. I thought this film right here was terrible. If I'm being honest, I thought this film. I don't know if it's just because I went in expecting so much because of what I'd heard from it, but it just didn't. It just didn't entertain me. If you know what I'm saying, it just didn't. I've given it a 5 out of 10, and I'll tell you why. When I get in, but basically, everything was going so good for it because it was like a long film that seemed like it had potential because it was like really mysterious and everything. And then it just went bad. Like, if you. This is where I'm going to give spoilers because I just want to talk about this film and talk with other people who have seen this film and whether or not they had the same problems as me. Like, the whole film, like, it seemed like it was leading up to something that just never happened, in my opinion. It's like there was no motives and no end goal, and the ending was extremely underwhelming because it felt like it was like forced. Because in my opinion, I don't think that the character like deserved it, if you know what I mean. Like he stayed with his girlfriend after her family died, but he didn't really want to, but he stayed with her just because he'd be a dickhead if he broke up with her. And then he gets drugged and tricked into having sex with this woman, and then she like burns him. I was so confused. I was like, what? And then I was like, but she found her new family, and I was like, okay, but like, where does that lead her? It was just I don't know why. I just generally don't get it. And also the whole thing, I didn't even realize this until looking up the film after. The whole thing at the beginning with her family dying, her sister killed them, which was really unclear. I don't know if I missed something, but for me it was really unclear, and I had no idea that they were killed. Um, yeah, again, it was just very weird. Also, you know, like the deformed person that was like in all the trailers, the trailer boy. He was like, was he there just for the trailers? Because again, his storyline led nowhere. It was like explained, just like that, like instantly explained, like when someone asked about him. Also, you had a big cast of characters that were dead before the first half, and it seemed as if like the cult were like, oh, they're planning something, and then it was just like, oh, it's pretty simple when you think about it. They were sacrificing them because that's their religion, and that's it. But as I said, I did give it a 5 out of 10, and the reason for that is the music and the cinematography. It was very good. It was like very good all the way through, unlike the story. Leave your opinion on this film in the comments below. I want to know if other people have the same opinion as me. And just like that, that is tier 2 done. Tier 2 was sort of, just like a bit like more, I would say, gory and disturbing horror films, but once it gets into tier 3, this is where it starts to take the turn for the worst. And kicking off tier 3, we have Salo, or 120 Days of Sodom, I think it's called. That's the other name for it. I've given this one a 6 out of 10, mainly because of just how, like, in general disturbing it was without actually showing anything like gore. I mean, apart from like a few exceptions at the end of the film, but it wasn't actually that bad. It was disturbing without the use of it, which was very cool to see. Definitely the worst one I've seen out of everything. This is the worst one, and I think that's mainly because of the ways it was disgusting. I'm not used to seeing. It's like with things such as like Saw and Hostel, because I like grew up watching their movies. I'm tolerated to that sort of stuff. But the reason that this movie is disgusting, I've never seen much of before, which I think is why I found it the worst. It's a little bit long, at around 1 hour and 50 minutes, but I think that's just because I wanted it to end quicker. And the worst scene, in my opinion, was definitely that one dinner scene, which, if you've seen the movie, you know what it is. And next we have Pink Flamingos, and I've given this one a 5 out of 10. It was really weird, and the acting was not that good, but it had like such a charm to it. Um, just take out all the really weird bits. It had like some sort of charm to it, in my opinion. Some bits were funny, but I don't know if they were intentionally meant to be funny. I just found them funny because my sense of humor is like all over the place. And the worst scene was definitely the infamous dog scene at the end, which if you know anything about this movie, I bet you've heard about that scene a lot. Next, we have Shoujo Tsubaki, I think it's called, and I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea what the hell went on in this film. It had a story to it that I could like decently follow. Like this, her mum died, and then she joined the circus. I think it was. It's only like 40 minutes. It's a like anime film. It was very weird, in my opinion. It was quite sad though. There was some sad bits, and the worst part was with the dogs, where they chop up the dogs and like make them into stew. But I think that if I really wanted to get invested in this story, I'd rewatch it. But it didn't really give me anything the first time I watched it. Like I can understand why some people would like it, but it didn't really give me anything, so I don't think I'll be revisiting this. Next, we have the infamous A Serbian film. And if I'm being honest, it's not as bad as people say it is, in my opinion. It's actually a decent story. I'm not gonna lie. I like the story. If they replaced it with, because he's an adult actor, let's call it, if they had his job as just like a normal actor, and they made him do stuff that like was outside his comfort zone, like he was like fucking Tom Cruise or something, it would have worked a lot better, and I think the film would have done a lot better, as in box office wise and enjoyment. The main reason people don't like this film is because he's an adult actor, and I think that's where it falls. Because if he was a normal actor, I still would have given it a 7 out of 10, because as I said, I'm trying to look past all the disturbing parts. But I just think it would have done better, as in for the world and the general audience. It was actually very interesting, I must say. I wasn't expecting it, and it had like a good runtime of around like 1 hour 40 minutes, which when I first saw that, I was like, oh god, this is a bit long. But it's not like completely flooded and just like over the top. Like there's a few bits, but they're spread out to the point where the story is still digestible. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually really did enjoy this film. But the worst scene was definitely that one scene where he shows him the video. Don't really want to describe it. You probably know what it is. Yeah, that bit was just a bit. I don't really want to see anything like that again. And talking about I don't want to see anything like that again, the film after that has a scene that very similar to that. And I'm talking about the Human Centipede 2, and I'm just gonna get it over with the scene. You know where she's in the car and pushes down the gas pedal. Yeah, that one was definitely the worst. Now that that's out of the way, I'm gonna praise the film. The Human Centipede 2 is incredible. I'm not even joking. This was one of my favorite films I've watched, and I'd already seen the black and white version, but I actually found a color version, and this was even worse than the black and white one. I thought that it would take away the charm, but it still has all like the grittiness and disgustingness of the black and white film, but in color. And honestly, every single scene in this film just looks disgusting, and I love it so much. Honestly, this was one of my favorite ones to watch. It had like a few like I believe in I was about to say it has like a few weird bits, but I believe that this was all in his head, as it's implied at the end. That's why there's no like missing posters because of like the 13 people he kills, and also why there's no police involved. And that's why I love it, because there's like a bit of a mystery to it. Like, did it actually happen, or is it all in his head? Either way, the main actor, whoever played him, props to you. They didn't say a word throughout the whole film, and you can already tell like what he's thinking and like everything that goes through his head, which I love. Yeah, honestly, this film is amazing. It's like a bit. I would say this is where I would say that it's sort of the best amount of disturbing and the best amount of story, the Human Centipede 2, in my opinion, because it has a brilliant story and I actually love the whole film. But obviously, it is very disturbing at the same time, and it's definitely the worst one out of the trilogy. Also, can't remember if I said, but 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I think I forgot. So yeah. Next, we have an unexpected one, which I actually really liked, and it was Suicide Club. I've given this a 7 out of 10. I thought it was bloody good, to be honest. It's not like very gory, but the whole concept is quite disturbing. You know, like a cult making everyone obviously commit. And there is a sequel, or I think it's like a prequel, which explains more, which I will definitely watch, but sadly, I don't actually think it's on the iceberg, so I won't be able to talk about it in one of these videos. And one of the main actors, which I really liked, is he was the main guy in Audition, and he was also in The Grudge, I believe, the Japanese one. And that just like made me feel nice because I really like Audition. It's one of my favorite films. And the best scene for me is definitely the compilation scene, where it's like, you know, everyone doing the deed. And it's just like, oh my god, what are they doing? No. I thought it was really cool. It's not like over the top gory. The opening scene though is amazing, in my opinion. But yeah, if you haven't seen this film, I highly recommend it. And next we have Cannibal Holocaust. This is one of like the most infamous films ever made, I think. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because I thought it was pretty good. The effects are very good, and I believe that there was I don't know if this is entirely true. This is just going off what I think happened. I think that there was actually a court case where the director had to present the actors to just to make sure that they were alive. Again, that might be another film which I'm thinking of, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. It was very controversial, I believe, because of all the animal deaths, because they were real. But in my opinion, they weren't that bad, if you know what I mean. It's like they didn't just kill the animals for the sake of it. It was supposed to be sort of like a found footage, so they kill a turtle, but they don't just like disregard it and kill it for the sake of it. They actually eat it afterwards, which I believe there's nothing wrong with that because that's just what happens, you know, that's life. But yeah, it was a pretty cool idea, and I'm pretty sure this is considered one of the first found footage films. Even though it's not like what you would think found footage is, it's still roughly based off of footage that was never released to the public, and there's a story underneath that footage of the directors or whatever watching it, which I think was quite cool. And yeah, it was actually quite disturbing because of like what the group actually did to the tribe people, and I really liked it, not gonna lie. So I recommend this one as well. And next we have Tetsuya the Iron Man. Again, this is one of my favorite films, and because it's one of my favorite films, I'm not gonna lie to you and pretend that I understood what happened in the film. Because if I'm being entirely honest, I really don't know what happened in it. The first time I watched it, I kept confusing the characters because there's like 4 characters, I think, 3 or 4 like actors. Either way, it's still a really good movie, and it's really good body horror, which I love. It's a man turning into a machine type of thing, and it's not like too graphic apart from like a few scenes, but it's definitely worth a watch, in my opinion. So yeah, it's on Shudder, by the way. If anyone has Shudder, that's where I first watched it. I got like a what's it like a month free, and I saw it and I'd heard of it before, and I thought I might as well watch it, and yeah, I really did like it. The last 20 minutes was like bonkers, as we say in Great Britain. It was absolutely bananas. Um, it was like stop motion, and they had like jet engines on their feet. I go watch it if you haven't seen this film. Please go and watch it. And like the best part slash most disturbing part was definitely at the beginning, where as he's labeled in the credits, the metal fetishish. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, when he does his thing. And lastly, this was the one I was most looking forward to because I'd heard so much about it, and I actually wasn't disappointed like I was with Midsummer, and that was The House That Jack Built. And just for a disclaimer, I'm gonna pretend that the last like half hour didn't happen, and once he'd built his house, he just like the film ended, because it kind of ruined it in my opinion. Like it was already 2.5 hours, it didn't need the extra half hours. 2 hours would have been fine, but I really liked this film. I thought it was very well done. The practical effects were amazing, and I'm pretty sure it won an award for them the year it was released. It was very disturbing, I would say, because it's like a serial killer documentary that you'd watch on Netflix, but it shows like everything he did in like extreme detail. And yeah, it was very, very, very good in my opinion. I liked it a lot. I liked the narration which was happening throughout the whole film with him and that random, I can't think of his name, the one who was like in the corner. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And the best part was definitely incident free, because that struck me off guard, and also the whole thing which he does with the taxidermy. I'd never seen anything like that in a film before, and I was disgusted by it, and I also loved it. So if you this is the thing, like, just because it's disgusting doesn't mean it's bad. Like, in my opinion, that's like the highlight of a lot of these films, is like their worst part. But as we get down the list, the worst part in the film is going to be my least favorite part, because and the most tame bit is going to be my favorite. But for now, I'm still sticking with I like it when it's disturbing. And just like that, that is it done. That is the first 3 tiers. Again, I'm sorry if you expected anything, but obviously this is the first part. It's not going to be as insane as the next part. And I'm pretty sure I'm only going to do this in 2 parts. I could either do another part and then do the final part, which would be really short because of like how many tiers there are. So you can either wait a bit and get a really long part 2, or you can get a part 2 in like the next month or two, and then have a part 3 which is like 10 minutes long, because as I said, a lot of these films are hard to find, so I don't think I will be watching every single one, but as I said, I am going to try my best to. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on this. As I said, if you do want to like get in touch with me or anything, join the Discord. And also if you just want to, talk about things, like not even about my channel, just like talk about things that I've covered, yeah, just join the Discord, it should be a good time. But I have one more thing to say, and that is what I really dislike in sort of horror movies, I would say. And the thing which I dislike the most is vomit. And I'm pretty sure that if you know about this, then you're praying for me, because all of the Lucifer Valentine trilogy, which I'm not gonna say because obviously like YouTube and stuff, is on there. All 3 of them, and I already knew about them, and I've tried to watch them, and it didn't go well. I think I've watched about 10 minutes in total of all 3 films, and they're about 50 minutes to an hour long. So please wish me luck on that one, guys. I'm actually gonna need prayers, because if there's one thing which will get me, it's that. Like, I can deal with like pretty much most things, I would say, but that one is definitely like, at like the top of the list. Like top 2, 3. Top 3, I'd say. Top 3 things that make me just not want to watch the film. But apart from that, there is a few which I haven't seen, which are in the later tiers, which I'm looking forward to, and you'll hear about them in the next episode. That's all I'm gonna say. But thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video and you do want to see a part 2, subscribe, because it helps the channel and it gives me motivation to do it. Because if this video flops, I am not going to have any motivation to put myself through that, but I probably will anyway because of the small percentage of people that actually do want to see it. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, I will see you in the next one.